Hello, and thank you for tuning in. My name is Dominic, or D for short, 1E, and this is my place. It's a safe space I created to talk about life, real life, no filter, no judgment. So, let's jump right into this week's episode. Hello again, and welcome back to Dee's Place. So it's been a couple of weeks since last episode, or at least since I've recorded last episode. And since that time, I have been really just asking myself, like, are you sure you're over it? Are you sure you're done? Because it seemed to me that this healing process went really quickly, and so I've been asking myself, and I've been checking just to make sure. Are you sure? And I am still going strong, still back to my normal, and I'm very excited about that. But I had a few questions to come up, and so I wanted to talk about some of those today. One, I think, very big one, very important one was, going through the healing process and getting over the hurt, the questions come up continually. And even though you've moved on and you've moved past it, how do you stop those questions from coming up? And my response to that really was to write all the questions down and to answer them. And even though I said that in the last episode, that really is what helped me to stop the questions from coming up. It's something about writing things down, even when you're in school and you're learning and you're studying. It's so much easier. You grasp it so much easier when you write it down. You hear it, you write it, you see it, and then you retain it. The same thing goes for releasing. Things continue to play in your mind. At least for me, they play in my mind until I've written them down. And once I've written them down, it's like a transfer. I don't have to think about them anymore. I can retain what I wrote, and I can regurgitate it whenever I need to, but it doesn't have to roll around in my head anymore. So for the questions that continue to come up, writing them down really helped me, one, to be able to see what they were, to be able to answer them if I could. And if you can't answer it, because I did also talk about the set of questions that I couldn't answer, you do have to decide what you're going to do with those. This was not a person that I have to deal with on a regular basis. It's not a person that I have to be in a friendship or a relationship with. So all of the thoughts that normally come up when I'm actually in this person's presence regularly, I don't have to deal with those. I can hash them out. I can deal with them myself. I can give the rest to God, and I can let it go. Now, when I see that person, that's fine, but I'm over it. So it doesn't really matter whether I see them or not. Those feelings don't come up because they're not there anymore. But for people that you have to continue to deal with, sit this person down and talk to them and say, you know what, I have these issues. I have these questions. I just need to understand why you did this. I need to understand, because I need to be free from it and be honest about it. I mean, if they're jerks, it may be a little hard. We may have to find other ways to deal with issues if they're just going to be a jerk about it. But if it's somebody that you can at least have a conversation with, you're not trying to get back in the relationship. You're just trying to make sure you're mending whatever it is that's broken inside of you. And you can be honest and say that this plays in my head all the time. These thoughts continue to come up, and I just don't understand what it is about me that would have you treat me this way. And not to be combative, not to try to push a point, or not to try to make it right, just to get the understanding and get the information. And then you can internalize and deal with that information. And you can decide whether it was true or not, whether they had some other belief or understanding that's not accurate. But at least now you know, one, and at least you've expressed your concern, two. Getting it out is very beneficial. But then getting it out to that person, it does a couple of things. It gives them the ability to see that whether it's intentional or not, whole topic on intentional, but whether it's intentional or not, they did hurt you. And they have the ability to own up to it and to apologize. An apology can go so far. But if you never tell them, if you don't give them that opportunity, if you don't give them the chance to truly hear you and to apologize, then it's no longer on them. It's really on you, and you retain that. And if you retain it, you're still dealing with it because you haven't given it to them. So, and that goes beyond just a dating relationship breakup or anything. That's just life in general. Somebody hurts you, wrongs you, does something to you. You should tell them, this is what you did and this is how I felt about it. And they may not have known that that's what they did, and that's okay not knowing. Now, choosing not to know or deciding that it doesn't exist, and that's a different story. But if you give them the opportunity to know, then they have the opportunity to right that wrong, and that's on them. And that will speak to their character. What speaks to your character is getting it to them to let them know, I don't want to deal with this anymore. I didn't cause it. I don't want to deal with it. I want you to know what it was, and that releases you from it. And then they have the thoughts, because now they have to think about, what did I do? Oh my gosh, why did I do this? So then it's a win-win for the both of you, and it makes the relationship stronger. It makes the relationship better, even if, like I said, you're not getting back into a relationship, because that's not the goal. The goal is to make sure you are 100% you. You are healed and whole, and that was definitely my goal. As you can see, I'm still excited. So that was that question. That's my answer to that question. Another question that came up was, why is it that just saying trust God, or just saying for everything I couldn't answer, why is it that worked? And that worked for me, like I alluded to in the last episode. That worked for me because God does have all power, and I believe that. And you have to believe. You have to have some level of faith, whether it's a little bit or a lot. Doesn't matter what level. You have to have faith to be able to say, I'm going to try. And with that, I don't have to have control of the situation. So I don't have to try to figure out what's the right thing to do. What's the right move to make? Where do I go? What do I say? Like, I don't have to think about those things because I've relinquished that control. So I can be free to be who I am, trusting that God has total control of what's going to happen. And when I need to say something, it will pop up. So that worked for me. I've also tried to find, what is the solution for people who don't believe in God? Quite honestly, I'm still searching for that answer. And that's not an easy answer to come up with, because my basis and my belief is in God. And so I don't know who you can trust enough to give that level of control to say, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what to do about this. I have all of these things coming up in my head, and they're popping up, and I don't know what to do with them. I don't know how to handle them. I'm trusting you to do that. And to trust another person to say I'm trusting you to do that means they have to stop their life to deal with yours. Honestly, I am still looking to see if there is an answer I can come up with. There isn't. What I can say is a psychiatrist or a psychologist may be able to help you. I'm not one of those yet, but you would have to talk to somebody who can answer that question from a non-spiritual space. I know it's not an answer, but that is my answer for that question. I also wanted to talk about some things that I know comes up, and I know it comes up from a woman's perspective. So this isn't specific to the last relationship. This is just relationships in general. Biggest thing, we don't like to be confused. We want to know what it is you want so that we can give you what you want. The issue we have is we start seeing somebody, and yes, we're interested and we're excited. 2-3 months go along, we're still seeing you daily or weekly or whatever. You're calling regularly. We haven't had the conversation of what's going on, what this is or isn't. And in men's minds, as far as I can tell, as far as I know, you're thinking, I don't want to have that conversation. As if not having that conversation means this thing doesn't exist. No, it exists. We're just confused as hell because we don't know what it is. So we don't know what to give you. Having the conversation does not in any way require you to do anything other than what we agree to in the conversation. So if we agree we're friends, we're taking it slow, this is what that looks like, or this is what that means, then that's fine. We agree to that. But agree to something. That's like a company saying, hi, I want to hire somebody. I don't know what I want them to do. I don't know the job that they're really called for. I don't know how much I'm going to pay them. I don't know when they're going to get paid. But what I do know is I want to hire them. And for some reason, we actually say, okay, hire me. I'm going to do this job. And we get on the job. There's no on-the-job training. There's no manual. There's no information. There's no description of the job. So now we're just sitting at work like, I don't know what to do right now. We've signed up for a job that you don't want to give us the description. We just want the job description. Us trying to just figure out, well, it looks like this, but it feels like this, and it sounds like this. We just want to know. And I know we're all wired differently, and you guys are more quiet and we're more talkative. We get that. But if you know that, then we have to build a space for communication. So 1, we don't like being confused. 2, if you don't know what you want, say you don't know what you want. And that means we're not going to be in something until you figure out what you want. We can still hang out and we can still be cool, but yes, I am going to still be dating and I am going to still be hanging out with other people. And no, you cannot get upset about that, and that cannot bother you because you don't know what you want. At the tender age of 35, 40, you should probably know what you want. But just in case you don't, here's what you can do. Tell us what you don't want. We'll figure out from the opposite. So if you don't know what you want, I can assure you, you know what you don't want. And we can work with that. We just need you to tell us something. That's 2. So if you're not in it, don't be in it. Don't play games. We are way too old to still be playing games. If you don't want to be in it, don't be in it. For some reason, the goal seems to be, or the thought is, that we're out trying to get a man. No, we don't want to get a man. We want a partner. So if you're not willing and ready to be in a partnership, to see that other person, to see through that other person, to see what their weaknesses are and help them to grow, or to see what their strengths are and to build up on them. If you're not willing to do those things, you're not ready. There's nothing wrong with that. You're just not ready. If she doesn't want what you want and you don't want what she wants, there's no upset about that. You guys don't want the same things. That's okay. Come back later. Maybe your desires will align. If they don't, oh well, she ain't the one anyway. Move on. And before you go out and tell somebody else what's going on in your relationship, or before you go out and ask for advice from other people, men and women, make sure you talk to the person in your relationship about the situation. It would be very beneficial to get their point of view on something that's affecting them. Getting advice from other people is good. It's great. Make sure you talk to the person you're actually in the relationship with. So, like I said, I'm back. Been great talking to you today, people. Thank you for stopping in. I hope to see you again next week. Same time.